This is part 2 of our marvelous conversation with the Reverend Milton Biggham. And you will be thrilled with what you're going to hear in this part of the interview. And I want to also invite you to go back and check out part 1. Enjoy. Now, okay, I'm sorry. I kind of got in the story. We're in the mid-70s now. We skipped back to the 60s so you could hear that other story. So now we're in the 70s. Now Florida Mass Choir is recording. Now you're working for Savoy Records. Kind of continue to walk us through some of what was happening with you.
Started working for Savoy Records again as promotional director. Became producer after 2 years. Started doing albums. My first album was done with the young lady that many of you might not know today, Sarah Jordan Powell.
Yes, sir. Was
And
that Comes?
Yeah, and we did it in the Cook County Jail in Chicago, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget it because while we were doing the session, the inmates started getting happy. And the warden shut it down. We had to stop the session because they couldn't control the inmates. But from there, God gave me some tremendous experiences with some tremendous artists. Reverend James Cleveland.
Yes, sir.
Albertina Walker. Reverend Clay Evans. Of course, the Georgia Mass Choir and the New Jersey Mass Choir. I was the Mass Choir man, and I did them all over the country. New York State Mass Choir, Salem Mass. Oh man, Los Angeles, you name them, I did them, and the journey has been wonderful because God paved the way for me to meet all these people, and my name, I'm humble, Hutch, because I discovered that when you become a door opener, and that's what God made me, a door opener to record so many people who will never get a chance. But I discovered this, that when you open a door for somebody else, you too can walk through it. And what God did for me with James Cleveland and all these people, Kurt Franklin, Donnie McCLURKIN, LaShawn Pace, the Mighty Man, oh man, what God did for me, he opened some doors for me. And many of them are not here, but I am.
Well, let me help the viewers. The period that he's talking about is roughly from the mid-70s until about 2000. During that period, Savoy arguably was the premier gospel record company in America.
Yes.
Now, I know there were others, and they did some things. I know, you had Light Records with the Hawkins and Andre Crouch, etc. You had a couple of others, some who don't exist today.
Right.
Because if you remember, I was involved in the 80s with a bunch of choirs, and I was in the workshop through the New York State Mass Choir, Westchester Mass Choir. You recorded them, so I was around and saw a lot of this firsthand.
Yes.
This was the premier gospel record company in America. So when he starts calling off these names, all of these people, and mainly Dr. James Cleveland, was anchored in this label. And you did like his last, 8 or 9 albums?
Yes, I did. I did all of his final music. And I can't begin to tell you the experiences I had with James Cleveland. And I'll never forget it.
Well, let me say this also. Now, when I say this, Dr. Biggham may reach through this camera and get me, but he's a consummate musician. And now I'm going to give you a little tidbit to show you how. He didn't really know me and I met him and I asked him to do the youth revival. Now, before y'all start laughing, we had gray hair back then. This was over 30 years ago. So we had some youth to us.
Yes.
So we did the youth revival at the Mount Olive Baptist Church in Hackensack, New Jersey. Shout out to Mount Olive, right?
Yes.
So he preached it and he sang it. So we did 2 songs. We did The Storm Is Over, because I remember you came out and made sure we were doing it right. So I put together like a 80 voice choir, had a horn section, had a band. You know, these are folk that I played with. And so he was preaching, he's gonna sing The Storm Is Over and the classic Prayer Will Fix It. So now we were in the office talking. So he didn't really know me yet. He was kind. He wasn't me, he was kind. But now he said, now, Hutchinson, I want you to tell these musicians, a prayer will fix it is in D. Do not push it up. Do not push it down. I'm tired of these musicians pushing it up and pushing it down. The song is in D. I said, yes, sir. I ran out there. I was praying when I was going because, gospel musicians, especially back then, were very guilty of putting it in D flat. They were
putting it where they wanted it.
Yes, sir, because D flat's an easy key to play in. I told them exactly what you said. They said, we got you. I wiped my forehead and you came out because you were like, I want to hear y'all first because I already knew if it didn't sound right, he'd have said, one of y'all gonna sing that because I'm not. He came out, he listened to us. We went through The Storm Is Over. They made me sing the solo to that. So I sang like 2 verse, 2 lines. He said, that's enough. Put his hand up. He said, all right, go to prayer. We'll fix it. And we started rocking that thing. Then he said, all right, y'all good. That's enough. Turned around, went right back in the office. Boy, I was sweating and praying. And that
you
night,
passed the test, though. You passed it.
Look, I know, because that night we had church, and you dedicated to one of the deacons, James Wade, and you called his name, man. That man he was a big dude, but his chest puffed out, and man, that building was rocking. We had church that night, but I want y'all to be clear that he's a consummate musician. He's not going to tell you that, but that's just a tidbit for you to understand how serious he takes his craft and took his craft. So what I want to shift to now, and we're going to pick up some of the other stuff about the choirs, songwriting. People don't talk about that enough, but you need music to sing. You need people to write songs. You've written over 500 songs, some classics. I just mentioned one, Prayer Will Fix It. You Must Come In at the Door, a bunch of stuff.
Yes, some of my greatest songs that I composed, I did it with a gentleman that I still respect today, who's gone on, Reverend Clay Evans.
Yes, sir.
What he's done for me.
Yes, sir.
Reach Beyond the Break.
Yes, sir.
And he was instrumental in bringing out those songs out of me. And yeah, I've written and recorded a lot of songs, and I thank God for using me for that. Again, Hutch, I'm humbled because there are others who probably can do it much better than I, but God chose me, and I want to give him glory and give him the praise today for what he has done through those songs. A lot of my songs were in movies. Several. Come On in the Room was in a movie, and 2 or 3 more others. So I've just been blessed in a tremendous way to have written something and to see it go and accomplish what God wanted it to.
Well, now, what was, I don't want to sound like I'm getting too deep, but what was your philosophy around writing these songs? Because if you paid attention, and like me, I write too. So when I hear certain chord progressions, I know it's a Biggham song because it has certain stuff in it. You know, um, the words are memorable, easy to digest, but powerful. You know, the music rides a certain way. What was some of your philosophy?
I have to tell you, man, I had no plan.
Mm,
I had no scheme. It's all God. I woke up and He had given me what I had,
mm,
and He manifested His gifts to me through me. And I didn't sit down one day and say, I'm going to write like this. I'm going to use these kind of chords. No, I remember living in Tampa. I was working a regular job at 5 p.m. I would come home from work. I had a piano in my house, my little apartment. Hutch, I would sit down. I wouldn't eat. I would, in between 5:30 and 7 or 8, I would write 10 songs.
mm.
It was just in me. God had placed it there, and I had to get it out. And so throughout my career, the way I write, a song would come. Sometimes the whole song comes at one time, uh, many different ways, but it's God's gift.
Amen. I praise the Lord for it because you have blessed us with it. But now, in that, and you kind of alluded to something that I want to pick up. How did you connect with Whitney Houston and the people that did what's that?
Preacher's Wife.
Yes, yes, sir.
Well, years later, of course, we recorded Georgia Mass Choir. One of the producers with Penny Marshall, they did a movie called A League of Our Own. It was a movie about a female baseball team.
I remember.
But while doing that movie, I don't know why, but the producer told me they collected gospel music,
Mm,
and they came across this Georgia Mass album, and he and a couple of more producers listened to the music, and they loved the music. They didn't use any of the music in A League of Our Own, but they said if any movie ever come up that they needed a choir, they would call Georgia Mass. And so when The Preacher's Wife came, one day in New York City in my office, I got a call from one of the producers asking, did Georgia Mass still exist? Yes. And who are you? I'm the founder and the manager. We are interested in listening to Georgia Mass Choir. Okay. When can we hear them? You live in New York, so how are we going to hear the choir? I said, well, I go to Atlanta, Georgia. You can meet me in Atlanta. We'll set up a rehearsal. I did. The producers, Penny Marshall and several other, met us in Atlanta one Saturday morning. And we were at this church. And I sang, the choir sang about 4 or 5 songs. They loved the songs. By the way, several of those songs that we sang, I just picked them. They used in the movie.
mm.
And so they chose us to do the movie in Atlanta. And from there, man, oh, I cannot tell you what an experience that was. From there, we met Whitney. From there, we met the other actors, and it was a ride. Even today, many of the choir members are still making royalties from the Preacher's Wife movie. It was phenomenal.
It was.
We've traveled to foreign countries because of the Preacher's Wife. We've been on every major show on television because of the Preacher's Wife. and it just did wonders for us as a choir. And I just got a call today for Georgia Mass Choir to do a big program for these people in Atlanta next year. And the only way they know about us is through the preacher's wife. And so, yeah, God used that to do a great work for us.
God will open doors indeed.
Yes, he will. And on the set, this is something interesting. On the set, because we would background Whitney, so they would only film us with Whitney at night. Because when we got ready to do those songs, everybody on the set wanted to come. And so when we did our sets, it was like church. In fact, many of the songs that we did, Whitney had to come back and do them over again because we had so much church. She was sweating because it was church. They had to clean her up and bring her back.
Well, she's a church girl, so you know that was going to happen. Go ahead.
Oh, yes. It was a great time, and we still are benefiting from it today.
But now let me detour for a minute. I want you to talk about... I know we did it again. Well, I promise you, if you come back the next time, this will be the last segment, and you don't want to miss it. But in the meantime, check it out. Subscribe and hit the like button and share this video with your friends. And we will see you soon.